Welcome back to PJ Chen Design. This is PJ. Today we have a special collaboration project with the Keyshot master, Will Gibbons. Will has a fantastic YouTube channel and it is all about Keyshot rendering for the different products. Together we have produced two series of a video. The first part will be me talking about how to create a jewelry 3D model for the rendering purpose. And I'll be talking about the model differences between for the rendering and for the productions. On the part 2 video, Will will be talking about how to set it up a proper lighting, material, and environment for jewelry rendering in the Keyshot. He's also going to extend the knowledge talking about how to use a Photoshop to enhance the rendering to make it photorealistic. Are you ready to learn the jewelry 3D model and rendering? Let's get started. I'm very excited to collaborate with another YouTuber, Will Gibbons. His channel is all about the Keyshot rendering. So in this tutorial, I'm going to talk about what to prepare a jewelry for the production compared for the jewelry for rendering like the one on the right. If you go through my Keyshot rendering playlist, you can easily to create a rendering something like that. But on the part 2 of the video, Wells is going to talk about how to create a stunning rendering like this one with a lot of Keyshot rendering tips to make the stone brighter and also correct color on your gold. That's starting from the scratch. As you can see, the one on the left for the ring is more of the production. The reason we are making this look like a porcupine is because we need to have it longer, and then so the jeweler will able to bend the prong over. Another thing we don't want is we don't want to pre-cut the prong. It's because we wanted the jeweler able to cut at the same time polish, and then when you set the stone, it won't be dark on that four corner. Right? So that is a big difference. When we are doing the jewelry for the rendering purpose, there are 4 things we need to pay attention. First, you want to pre-cut the hole on each of the stone. Let me remove a stone to show you. You can see the hole is cut, the edge is bevel. If you take a look on the prong right here, it is already bent, the seat is already cut. You can even see I have a notch on where the prong is bending. So the idea is there's no intersection in between the stone and the metal part. The second thing we want to pay attention is you definitely need to bend your prong. You don't want to look like a porcupine right here. It's because the customer wanted to see what is the finished look. Third important thing is try to fit it all the edges as possible. If you have something like this, the rendering surface will look super flat. Compared with this one, any fitted edge will create a better light. And then at the end for the Keyshot rendering, we wanted to export it into STP or STEP file. We are going to starting with a 7x5 stone, and you can download a stone file at the description below. It will be a round file and you just need to 1D scale. Now to creating a setting for this, we need to decide where our ring is going to be. That's using a circle command, and we are going to creating the circle for whatever ring size. In my demonstration, I'm going to use 16mm. So that is about the size. The position of the stone, the bottom of the point of the stone, we call cullet. You make sure that your cullet is not too close to the ring rail. You want to keep it at least 0.5mm there, so that way when the stone is set, it's not sticking out like this. If it does, diamond is pretty hard, definitely will scratch your customer's finger, so don't do that. Alright, so next thing is we are going to creating 2 rails. So that's starting with the ellipse command. I'm going to snapping into the quadrant right here, and I'm going to type it 2.5 because our stone is 7x5. So one side is 5 and the other is 3.5, which is a half of the 7. And then we got this circle right here. This is just for the reference. Let's go ahead to create the rail shape. And I like this cushion looking things. So I'm gonna use a rectangle. Right click, you're going to get the conic corner. And we are going to draw a rectangle. Roughly look like that. And click it one more time, and then you will get this shape right here. So I'm going to creating this shape roughly about this size. Make sure you just not stick it out on the edge of the stone. Is because you wanted to keep it unseen from the top view, so the stone will look bigger. I'm going to create maybe just a little bit bigger, move it down a little bit, something like that. To creating the surface, we're going to use a sweep one. This is rail, this is your cross section, and then we'll get that first rail there. I like to record a history just in case after that visually, if it is too big, I can always changing, make it thinner, and the history will follow. The second one, we wanted to rail to follow the circle, so we are going to use the command right here, curve from the to view, and we are going to click on this one, and really quickly I'm gonna turn this one into the red color so it's easier for you to see. Now you see this one is going to be our rail, and I'm going to making a copy of this one right here. And for this rail, we want this rail and maybe come down a little bit so you can trim in the bottom to be nice and flush. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to using the same sweep one rail, and this is the rail, this is the cross section, and then we will get this one. As you can see, that will follow the ring rail much better, and let's click OK. Alright, so you got that first one, and now we need to have a full prong. Basically, when you are doing the prong for the production, you can just go ahead to do the straight line, and they will be pretty much like this. All you have to do is just go ahead to pipe it into the certain size that you want, right? And that will be the prong for it. However, when we are doing for the rendering purpose, you make sure that you don't want to do that. The way that you are going to do is you're going to make the prong a little bit shorter, roughly about here. Okay, and then the second things you wanted to do is you want to draw a tiny tag, and that is happening somewhere there. All right, so then I have this one going up like this, and to connecting in between, we are going to use the blend tool, and we are going to blend in between here and here. All right, so instead of having the prong go straight, to make it look like when it is finished, so let's go ahead to join this. Now the key for the prong, you do not want to have this prong like so long like that. You probably wanted to have it somewhere in between half of your prong, right? And then once you have that, I also like to rebuild them, right? You don't need to have a lot of a point, but you wanted to have enough that it looked like it's smooth. It was 10 here, so we just want to keep it 10 so you will get it as close as possible. All right, so now we have the prong like here. We wanted to kind of giving a little pipe. This is already like too rough there. So we want to keep the radius for 0.5, and let's see what they look like. All right, and I also wanted to moving into the right place, so that's using 0, and I want to rotate it 45 degrees right there. Once you rotate it, make sure that it's not cutting inside too much, because this is an oval. I might need to tweak it a little bit to make sure they look right. Okay, so that will be one prong. Make sure they are touching really nice and see if that is the place you want them. If you like them, let's go ahead to mirror to the other side. And we also need to mirror to the other side on this one. All right, so that will be the center stone. Now, to make sure it has a really nice rendering, we do need to make a color. I'm going to hiding the setting I just made, and I wanted to show you how to make a color. The way to making a color is we will need to draw something look like this, and then snapping into the stone. If you want to follow the stone exactly, that will be fine. And we're gonna get something look like this and go all the way down like this. All right, for this one, we are going to creating the surface, and we are going to use the command for sweep one rail, and you're gonna pick up the rail, you're gonna pick up the cross section, and once you hit enter, then will look something like that. The top and the bottom is open, so that's using the cap command to cap it. So we'll get something like this. Now we can turn on our setting, and we're gonna first of all go ahead to boolean all the setting right there. We're gonna use the boolean union, and to boolean all of them together, it will say you will break the history, but since we're no longer changing, so that's fine, and then we'll have it something like that. And let me change the color into the red color. The second thing we wanted to do is using the boolean difference. This one will be difference out from this one. So if I hiding the stone, you're going to see that there's no intersect in between my stone and also the setting. And you can use exactly the same way to create two of the round stone, and then you create right in the middle and then just rotate it to the place you want it, mirror that one to the other side. Then you got those 3 stone setting on the top. Before we start making any of the stone, we need to make sure that we have the correct stone right there. In this stone, I have it for 1.5 millimeter. I'm going to move it to the top, and then I'm going to using the rotate command, and then to rotate the stone into the first position right there. Alright, so the stone is going to follow on the circle, go all the way to the half of the ring shank. And again, you don't want it to set it too low. So I'm going to coming into my right view, and I want to set it up for my ring shank. I need to have at least 0.7 millimeter, so it should be 3.2 millimeter. And how high is it? Usually I would like to have 1.5 millimeter. And I want it to more like a comfort fit, so it's going to look like this. Let me moving this guy to here. You could have it taper, so if you want it to be taper, you could rotate it this one, just the bottom one, and rotate it, make sure copy equal yes, and rotate it to the top. And with this one, we do not want it to be changing the thickness, but I want it to be just slightly wider. To making the ring shank, we want to use a sweep one rail. We're going to go from here, starting from this profile into this profile. And again, I want to record a history and to make sure that that will be correct. I also want to close the sweep, so that will be a whole ring shank. Now, if you take a look on the top might be like a too wide. The bottom might be too wide. We actually don't need this ring to be so wide because we record a history, so we can kind of tweak it there. As long as your stone has enough wall next to it, you don't need to make it so thick unless that's what you want for the look. Alright, once you have it, the second thing is we need to cut the channel out. I'm gonna coming into the top and hiding all the stone there, so you know exactly what I'm doing. And I'm going to cut the channel out. That's starting with the rectangle, and we want this rectangle to be the same like our stone, maybe just a little bit bigger, so 1.6 millimeter wide. For whatever how tall is, that's fine. And then we want to make sure that it is aligned correctly, so align centers. Matching the center right here, and then I'm going to move it down. This is where the stone girdle is going to be. That's giving a test. We are going to make a rotation with the copy equal yes, and that's just moving into the stone and see if that is located where the girdle is, and it's getting really close. A very good guess. Alright, so with that, now we can start arranging the stone. I'm going to have a stone follow this curve right here. I can go ahead to split with the point on my ring rail, so that will be one right here, and that will be ending at the half of the ring rail. And then all we have here is I'm going to turn it into the green color. It's the section we are going to arrange the stone. And then next things we wanted to do is we wanted to array an object along the curve. So this object is going to array along this curve. And now you see 2 of them, right? And in fact, I need to have more. So I'm just going to try 5. And one thing you want to pay attention is you want to stone close as much as possible, but minimum for 0.1 millimeter gap. So maybe I'm going to try 6, and 6 is kind of a touching, so then you can use the distance instead. Currently the distance is 1.2. If we use 5, and it's going to 1.51. All right, it's actually pretty close. Let's take a look on this view, but I personally like them to touching, not touching. Right, so here we can do is we can shorten the distance for 1.4 here and see what happened, and then let's get it really close, and this is actually not too bad, so I'm going to keep it like that. So this is where the stone is going to be. I'm going to draw a circle one more time since that one is already been cut. So what I like to do is to using the sweep one rail. This is the rail, this is the cross section, and then we're creating this piece right here. I'm going to draw a straight line going from 0 to somewhere about here, and do it again going from 0 to somewhere about here. This is going to help us to trim the extra area that we don't need here and here. All right, and then let's go ahead to cap this. I'm going to turn it into the green color so you know what is what. For this green one, it's going to be our color to boolean difference out for a channel there. Now we have our stone there, and we just need to make a little prong there. Making the prong is quite easy. We simply need to have a little straight line, and I basically just going to pipe it. For the radius, it's like 0.3. So then I will have that first prong. Let me moving the prong into the place. One thing you want to make sure is you don't want the prong is actually touching the wall. It will be hard for Julia to set it. So you want to moving just a little bit like that. And I'm going to use, since this is only 5 stone, so I'm going to use a rotate with the copy equal yes. I'm going to snapping into this vertex here and giving a copy like this. And very last one, I'm just guessing here. I should have cut this one a little bit wider, but you get what I mean there. And once we are done, we can just mirror to the other side, and that will be our side stone. One more thing that I forgot to mention is we need to have a cutter as well. So let's go ahead to making a cutter. It's going to follow the stone, something like that. And I'm going to creating a straight line there as an axis. And we are going to create this one by using the revolve command and snapping into this axis and for 360 degree, and make sure you cap it. So then we will have this color right here. Make sure that I'm going to mark into a red so you can see it. And we're gonna do in the same thing, with the rotate. With the copy equal yes, and I'm going to snapping onto every of this stone on the culet. So now we have a stone color. We just need to have this one, and also bowling it out from the color of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that way you will have a hole behind each of the stone. That's really important. And once you are done, you just need to trim the ring shank at the middle part, and we will be ready for the rendering. For the rendering file, what you wanted to do is you're going to hide everything else. You're gonna hide your curve. You're gonna hide any of the reference image. Before you send it out for rendering, make sure you do this couple 2 things. First, you need to name your file. If they are different material, you want to make sure they are in different folder and name them correctly, so it will be easier to find it in the Keyshot. Second, you want to hiding everything else that is not supposed to showing in the Keyshot. You just want to have your model there, and then you want to select everything and using the file, and you want to export your selection. Once you select, you are going to use STP file or STEP, and then I'm going to name it rendering. It's going to ask you which one you have. You got those options right here, AP203, AP214, and another AP214. So either one of the AP214 will work in the Keyshot. That will keep all your layer with the correct name and the correct color there in the Keyshot. So once you click OK, and you might facing the same problem that I have here, the STP doesn't support in the mesh. So what you want to do is you want to pick up all your mesh right here, and then you want to type in mesh to NURB. So turn them into the NURB object. Then you can hiding the mesh. Now this one, if you take a look on it, it will be poly surface there instead of a mesh. So let's do it again. You want to export selection, and then we want to save as a rendering. We want to pick any of the AP214 and click OK. and it will be done. I hope you enjoyed today's video knowing the difference between the production and the rendering for the jewelry model. Don't forget to check out the part 2 on Will's video. He will show you all the detail to make your jewelry rendering stunning. The link is in the description below. Subscribe to his channel. You're going to learn a lot like I do. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next.